California lost more residents to domestic outmigration over the last 5 years than any state in modern American history had recorded outside of a declared emergency, and the spreadsheet flagged it years before the moving trucks arrived. Most people still associate states like California with opportunity and a quality of life worth the premium. But the data has been telling a different story for years, and the people who were actually reading it left quietly before the conversation became unavoidable. Several states on this list are still considered aspirational destinations, and at least one of them continues to rank among the most desirable places to live. These rankings weigh population trajectories, affordability pressure, economic mobility data, and the quality of daily life people actually report experiencing. Let's break it down. Number 10, Illinois. It sells Chicago, which is genuinely one of the most competitive and culturally dense cities in the country, with a Midwestern cost of living that still compares favorably to coastal alternatives and a job market anchored in finance, logistics, and healthcare. But here's what the data actually shows. Illinois has lost residents every single year, for nearly a decade, making it one of the only states in the country to sustain continuous population decline without a natural disaster accelerating the trend. The state's unfunded pension liability points toward higher taxes and reduced services, and property taxes in the Chicago suburbs rank among the highest of any comparable metro nationally. Chicago is an excellent city, and the fiscal architecture surrounding it is considerably less so. Number 9. Louisiana sells culture, and no state in America has a regional identity as distinct or as genuinely irreplaceable. People who move there for the food, the music, and the atmosphere are not wrong to value it, because that part is real and it is not manufactured, and this is where it stops being a coincidence. Louisiana has ranked near the bottom of nearly every measurable quality of life index for long enough that the pattern is no longer considered newsworthy, and homeowners insurance in coastal parishes have become difficult to obtain at any price in certain areas, not as a theoretical future risk, but as an ongoing, present condition that is actively reshaping whole communities right now. Number 8, New Jersey. It sells access, and that positioning between Philadelphia and New York City is genuinely unmatched, with schools that have historically ranked above national averages and suburban infrastructure that holds up reasonably well compared to surrounding regions, which sounds manageable, until you look at the numbers. New Jersey consistently ranks first or second nationally in property tax burden measured by absolute annual household cost, and that burden sits on top of a state income tax and insurance costs that have climbed steadily for years. Compared to Illinois, which at least contains its fiscal pressure within the pension system, New Jersey places that burden directly on the homeowner's annual bill. And when a state government publicly acknowledges that residents are leaving specifically to escape the tax structure, the situation has moved past the stage of anecdotal concern. Here is number 7. Mississippi sells affordability, and that advantage is real in a market where entry-level access has become structurally limited almost everywhere else. And that's just what's visible on the surface. Mississippi also ranks last or near last in median household income, educational attainment, and health outcomes across essentially every available index. And the obstacles to economic mobility here are structural, rather than incidental, tied directly to the absence of the economic infrastructure that upward mobility actually requires. A low home price in a market with limited income growth is not the same calculation as a low home price in a market with structural upside, and the spreadsheet does not treat them the same way. Number 6. West Virginia sells scenery and low costs, and both of those things are genuinely what they appear to be. Appalachian geography that remains seriously underappreciated, housing prices among the lowest anywhere in the country, and a regional identity built around self-sufficiency that many people find preferable to the noise of dense metro living. That pattern holds for every state on this list, except the next one. West Virginia has sustained the steepest long-term population decline of any state in the country, and in many of the rural counties that were built around single extractive industries, the infrastructure was never designed to persist without that economic anchor. Healthcare access in those counties has now reached a level the state itself has formally classified as a documented crisis. And the affordability advantage reflects a market where demand has remained systematically low, for reasons that do not disappear when a remote worker arrives with an out-of-state salary. Number 5 is Alaska, and Alaska sells space, solitude, and a dividend check, mailed annually to every resident, with no state income tax and no sales tax to offset it. Most people never make it to number 4 on lists like this, and that's usually where the real story begins. The permanent fund dividend has existed since 1982, funded entirely by oil revenue, designed as a mechanism to distribute resource wealth to the people actually living in the state. And what it does not distribute proportionally is the cost structure surrounding it. Groceries, heating, fuel, and healthcare rank among the most expensive of any state in the country, and in communities without road access, the logistics cost of basic supplies is genuinely difficult to estimate from outside. The dividend is real, and so is February. Number 4. Connecticut sells proximity. Positioned between two of the largest metros in the country, historically among the wealthiest states per capita, with schools that consistently ranked above national averages, and a coastline that remained undervalued for years. The next place on this list makes Connecticut look moderate by comparison. Population growth has been essentially flat for over 2 decades. Economic recovery after 2008 moved slower than almost any comparable northeastern state. And infrastructure in older cities like Hartford and New Haven has been deferred long enough that the maintenance costs are now visible in daily commutes and in public services that no longer perform at the level the tax rate implies they should. Number 3, New York sells everything, and that is not an exaggeration. The economic density, the cultural output, and the institutional depth of that metro has no equivalent anywhere in the country. And the argument for New York, at the right income level and the right point in life, remains structurally coherent. What the data shows is harder to dismiss. New York State lost more residents to domestic outmigration than any state except California over the same multi-year period. And unlike Louisiana, which lost residents for structural economic reasons tied to generational underinvestment, a significant portion of New York's exit came from households that were not leaving out of financial distress. These were people who could afford to stay and made a deliberate choice not to, which matters, because number 1 on this list followed the same trajectory and arrived at a conclusion nobody wanted to call inevitable. Number 2, Hawaii sells paradise, and the specific belief worth examining directly is this: that the lifestyle fully justifies whatever the cost turns out to be, and that anyone who struggles to make it work simply has not committed to the trade-off with enough intention. The data does not support that framing. Hawaii consistently ranks among the least affordable states in the country by housing cost relative to median income, and the problem is not concentrated among lower earners. The median home price in Honolulu produces a cost-to-income ratio that excludes the majority of the state's own workforce from home ownership under any standard mortgage qualification, and longtime local residents have been displaced from their own communities at a rate the state itself has formally classified as a policy crisis, not a background statistic. The sunsets are real, and the math surrounding them is considerably harder than the imagery suggests. And here we are, number 1, California. Of course it is. Every other state on this list accelerated some version of the same pattern: costs rising faster than incomes, population exiting faster than it arrived, infrastructure deferred until the deferral became a visible feature of daily life, and California is where that process ran the longest and produced the most counterintuitive outcome. A state with every structural advantage, losing residents at a rate the spreadsheet had been projecting for years before the exits became a national conversation. The wildfire risk has produced an insurance withdrawal that remains ongoing and unresolved. The housing affordability gap in coastal metros has grown wide enough that the median income no longer supports the median home price under any standard calculation, and the cost of living that the lifestyle was always supposed to justify has continued rising while the public infrastructure surrounding it has not. The spreadsheet flagged it years before the moving trucks arrived. Most people did not read the spreadsheet.